Recording starts there. Start recording. That's okay. No worries. If it happens, we'll roll with it. That's my watch, wasn't it? Good. We're all ready. Okay, here we go. Thank you for joining us for our second episode of Friendology, where friends meet together to talk about topics, issues, scenarios, and model what friendship could look like, especially amongst guys. We hope you enjoy this episode as we talk about intention. With us is Joshua, Roger, Jonathan, Frank. Chris is missing tonight, and I am Biniam. Thank you for joining us on Friendology. We hope you enjoy it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start, guys. This is kind of exciting. Intention. Who was the one who first initiated this topic?
I'd like to just chime in right away. You timed that perfectly with the intro music. That was just spot on.
No, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Did you memorize that?
I didn't memorize. I do.
You did?
No.
What? Really? Okay.
I didn't memorize it, but I think when I did my first try for our first episode, where I took a little clip there, the music was too loud and my voice was too low, so I wasn't speaking right into the mic. So we're practicing at this first go around here as we try to make a go of this, but I like that the real value here is what we're talking about and what we're modeling by way of our friendship. Mm-hmm. Intention. Joshua, you said you'd prepared for this topic here, so let me put you on the spot to start us off. Yeah.
Okay. Well, perhaps we can ask the question of what intention is. Or sorry, what is intention rather? Mm-hmm. I looked it up on Google and I like the definition, which is intention is a mental state that represents a commitment to carrying out an action or actions in the future. Intention involves mental activities such as planning and forethought. So yeah, I like that it's not accidental. It's something deliberate. It's something that often will involve planning, but we'll get into that. Does it have to involve planning? I guess that's a question that we'll open up perhaps. Mm-hmm.
Good start. For those of you who are getting to know us by way of personality, we here know that Joshua is the guru of checking his Google on his phone. So whatever we're looking up in the moment, he just pulls his phone right out. And you have quite the repository of information on your phone there, don't you?
I do.
You'd be lost without it. But great start. Great start.
I would be lost without it. Thanks so much.
So that's the formal definition of intention. But maybe what we can go around and doing is talking about what we think of first go to when we think of the word intention and what does it resonate with strongly? What kind of words or pictures or images come up for us when we think of the word intention? I like, I almost just want to say intentionality, but that's intention. I like the forethought.
Yeah, I think when I hear the word intention, when I think of that, the idea of planning or the idea of, okay, I want a certain thing out of the future and I want to plan ahead. I want to figure out what I want in the future rather than just randomly going your own way and being drifted here and there to and fro by your hunger, by your emotions, by your fatigue, whatever it is. And intention is not that. It's having an idea of what you want and moving towards that idea. Or at least that's, yeah. What do you guys think?
Oh, I just came up with something willy-nilly. I mean, for me,
that's what we're looking for.
For me, it's sort of like, intention is sort of like the pedometer of meaning. You know, we all have different positionings in terms of meaning and what we want out of something. And a pedometer is that thing that measures, I think, right?
Okay.
So measures your steps, right?
Measures your steps, right?
I like that. Yeah.
We've got so many measures of intent in our life.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just what emerged from what you read in your preamble was a pedometer of meaning. Yeah.
Pedometer of meaning.
Yeah.
What is intention? It's a pedometer of meaning.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. Meaning that we kind of create and we decide upon, right?
Mhm.
It's not decided for us. We come up, just like any meaning. What is it? It's just a construct, but we come up with it, we decide it, and we pursue it. Jonathan, you're thinking.
But do you know what? I'm feeling kind of off today.
Okay.
So, like all day, I was just working away, and I actually considered not coming tonight. So I do apologize. My brain is here, but it's not. So I will participate in the best way possible. And when I think of something, I'm just going to rudely interrupt and just bulldoze over the rest of you guys.
So you had intended to come and you followed through with that intention.
Yes.
So there you go.
Well, one of my big things is like when I give somebody my word, I stick with it to the best of my ability. But obviously, not perfect. I'm still human, and so sometimes I fail. But yeah, I definitely. When other people are involved, I very much stick to my word to the best of my ability.
I think that it's funny how we pulled this aspect of intentionality in, but it totally fits. Reliability, staying true to your word. This is huge. A piece. It's not all, but it's a piece of the intentionality of friendships. Is you say you're going to be there. You're there. Whatever you say, you follow through with it because that's what your decision is. I mean, of course, we can change our minds and stuff, but yeah, I like that.
Any thoughts there, Frank?
Yeah, I guess to follow on Joshua's comments, I agree. It's sort of like how do we approach friendship and make it sort of unambiguous, and sort of how can we to me the friendship kind of like I guess in a true friendship, the way that I see it is sort of like it stands for something. It stands for the values that I have, and that I'm not gonna invest energy in someone necessarily unless I feel that they kind of share the same kind of values and beliefs that I have going into a friendship, and that I feel kind of accepted and important heading into that interaction, and certainly like the planning part, following through, being there for that other person. That's something that resonates with me for sure.
I like that. I think that's a really important thing to add to this conversation of intentionality is values and beliefs and purpose and common purpose. And we talked about the pedometer of meaning. What is our meaning? And it, as adults, it's complex. It's not always the same. I was thinking back in the day when my kids were younger and we'd take them to the McDonald's play place and they were like 3, 4, and they'd go and run into the play place and they'd come back like minutes later and I made a friend. And I'm like, I thought about that. They make friends so easily, way easier than as adults do, right? And why is that? Because we have a complex values and belief systems and purpose, but they're simple. All they want is to play. Hey, there's someone else that also shares that purpose of wanting to play. We're friends. Bam. Just like that. It's so simple. It's a little bit more complex with that also. Common values, common purpose.
Something else that also occurred to me, most of our answers resonated around that forethought piece, that intentionality of committing to, hey, I said I was going to be there, I'm going to be there. But I also wonder about another expression that comes out in the spontaneity of those established commitments. Meaning, here's Jonathan, for example, who's like, guys, oh man, I wasn't sure if I wanted to be here today just because I'm feeling out of it. I'd made a commitment though. And even while I'm here, I'm just going to just kind of shoot it out there. Hey, I'm not all there. There was a spontaneous, like you had a couple of options there, right? But choosing to be in the moments, choosing to be honest and saying, hey, I'm going to do what I can even while I'm here to contribute as best as I can. My intention is I'm here because I said I was going to be here. I'm going to be part of it, but I don't even know what I'm going to contribute. But that still comes after that commitment first and foremost to say, we're locked in. We're locked in. Roger.
So, Frank, can I be a bit of a provocateur?
You can only be yourself.
Yeah. I tend to always bring things that muddy the water. So,
Yeah.
so I've had friendships where the value systems were different for me,
Hmm.
but we were able to find meaning in order to sustain a friendship. So I wonder whether or not different value systems are a precursor for good friendship, or individuals like the kids finding a friend can find meaning somehow in spite of variations in value systems. I don't know the answer. I'm just being
Yeah, I guess like the
provocative.
way I would answer that is so sort of like your value would be that, maybe you don't agree on some things. Maybe you don't have, hold some of the, kind of view different situations differently, but maybe the values that you share are that you're willing to listen and willing to try to understand another point of view. Even though like some of those arguments that you might have or some of the things that you hold dear, might not be consistent with some of these people that you've become friends with, but you've
Mhm.
managed to find a way to, see each other's differences, and that's the value that you share, rather than those differences themselves.
I don't remember the name of it. I like that, and I don't remember the name of the movie that I watched. How two people had come together somehow from opposing forces. I'll look it up for the next discussion. But I really think, yeah, I agree with you. I really think there is the way you've sort of characterized what you said initially, brings it home for me, because you can totally be at different places. I think,
Yeah, I think so.
you
Even
know.
like the easy one to think of is sort of like political views.
Hmm.
Like I certainly have friends, like childhood friends, that I can get along really well with, and we make plans, we get together. But they're at the completely opposite end of the political spectrum from me, and
Hmm.
we'll sometimes we'll discuss it, but it isn't sort of the breaking point. And outside of that, we have a lot of respect and care for one another.
Hmm. So you have something with these friends. You have a shared history, perhaps. And maybe I wonder. I'm just going to throw this out there. Maybe this is what makes a friend different than a romantic relationship, especially like a husband-wife, like building the life together relationship, is that with a friend, you can have some common values or group of common values or beliefs, but maybe not the rest, and you don't care. It's like, I don't care what you guys' financial states are.
Mm-hmm.
But if we were going to get married, well, I might care. So, but we see some of the same truth, and we view some things in the same way, or we connect on some topics, hopefully more than just one. But we don't have to connect on all the topics, right? Whereas like a romantic relationship, maybe not all the topics, but hopefully more, more than just a small handful if it's a romantic connection, right?
I mean, to add another dimension on it, I mean, as an individual, I find the best friendships for me are where there is a dichotomy of thought, tension of thought and perspective, where there's vigorous debate or exchange or variation on perspectives and values that creates discussion and dialogue. And it, primarily because I'm a bit of a person that gets excited by
Ideas and
ideas
debate.
and debate, so I'd be more drawn to. I always say I like my friends to. I do not like my friends to be yes friends or yes people. You know what I mean? I always want to have friends and people around me who are going to hear the things that I say, receive them for what they are, but don't necessarily say agree, I agree, yes, yes, yes. But in the alternative to, well, challenge me. And I find my friendships to be for the better when I get that. And
Yeah,
that's
I agree with
just
you on that. It's sort of like
yeah.
I don't understand this point of view, for example.
Mhm.
Explain it to me. Explain to me why you feel so strongly about this. I really want to understand it.
Mhm.
That's kind of where I kind of, when I have these kind of conversations with people that have very opposite viewpoints to the kind of things that I tend to fill my brain with.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
I enjoy that. I enjoy learning their perspectives.
And I do as well. And I think probably that's one aspect of what kind of pulls us together and binds us together, is wanting to talk about those ideas and go outside the box and challenge each other. But if I could throw a little devil's advocate in there, can a group of friends be yes men, pat each other on the back and not ever challenge, and still have a common purpose or value that's different than that, and be perfectly healthy friendship?
I would suggest the strength of friendship grows in the crucible of friction. And what I mean by that is we are vested to see how we can grow together in the experience of life. We're choosing to go through various experiences in life in such a way whereby life is committed to giving us both ups and downs, and we don't want to be fair weather friends. There are some who say, I only want you around with no drama. We see that on dating apps, for example, right? But the reality is life comes unexpectedly, and the true caliber of friendship is such whereby you're being called on at your inconvenience. And so in those friction points, in those tension points, that's where we're really seeing not only personal growth in ourselves in the way we respond to adversity, but also how we grow together in our friendships when we start seeing who's the ones who are going to be able to stick with us through the thick and the thin, who are the ones who are going to be committed in the times when it is really taxing on them, and that therein is a significant investment being made. So I would propose that in the absence of being able to say, no, brother, you're wrong on this one, or I think you're missing a point here, or just bringing gentle rebukes, challenges, etc. In the absence of that, there really isn't that space for there to be something built on something foundational. That's what I'm proposing there.
I'm going to challenge you on that.
Carry on. Yeah.
Because sometimes I know for myself,
Mm-hmm.
I don't need somebody to challenge me. I just need a dude to give me a hug and just be by my side and be like, dude,
good point.
What you're going through sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really need my mindset to be challenged at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the future, 24 to more hours. But so it's kind of leading into next week's, or whenever the discussion is going to happen about intuition, is knowing when to challenge and when to just be that solid rock of a friend that to help I
appreciate that pushback then. With that pushback, I think what I'd add on top of that then is the intention piece of, hey, what are we trying to accomplish together? So you are right. There is that context where sometimes we just want someone who's going to give us a hug. Yeah. We want to vent. So you're right. I do acknowledge that point.
One thing that I heard more in relation to marriages and couples kind of counseling was when one person starts to just go on a rant, have the other person stop and say, okay, look, are you just looking to vent? Were you looking for a sympathetic ear? Were you looking to be challenged on this? And I think that'd be maybe a good idea to bring into more friendship of being like, hey, what is the intention here? And what do you need at this point in time? And then when they're really starting to go off the deep end of being kind of whiny, mopey, kind of more into the victim mentality, at that point in time, I would very much appreciate being called out on that and being said, hey, you're sounding like a whiny baby right now, so do you want to check yourself, or what do you want to do?
In which case, going back to what Joshua was saying, and I'll get to Roger in a sec, even if what's needed is just a listening ear, a support just by way of your presence, still doesn't translate to yes man. I appreciate, for example, what you were doing the one time when we're in a good conversation amongst us as brothers here, and Joshua was sharing some things going on in his life, and you held your tongue.
Oh,
do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Until Joshua actually asked you and said, "What do you think?" And that's when you made the point saying, "I rarely walk into this space unless I'm invited into it." So I did appreciate that.
And the very next week, I did the exact opposite. I just blasted off.
Roger, you're about to speak.
Yeah, no, and what you said actually fits very well into the whole construct of intentionality and what we've said so far. You had something very interesting. You said, in terms of friendship, being asked or asking, what do you need, and being able to communicate that. But in my own experiences of male friendship and in my own context as a male, I have found it of such that there's a difficulty for men to say what they want.
Yeah.
Because it's a feeling situation to say what you want. And while you're an exceptional friend to all of us, an exceptional male amongst us, unfortunately, there are not a lot of men who are able to take that and translate it to the intention of what's being asked and where to go with it, right? So what do you need from me today? A beer? A hug? Movies? You want to, a lot of men we don't have the capacity. A lot of men do not have the capacity to really be able to articulate that, much less receive it. And that's my perspective and experience. Frank's he's got something to say there on that.
Well, I'm just nodding along. I'm just kind of agreeing with you guys, and I think one of the things that I've tried to implement more recently in conversations in different situations is sort of like my intention of reaching out to a particular person or a friend in a situation where maybe I'm upset or maybe I'm feeling lost is like, here's what I need from you. I would love it if I just need an ear to listen, or I really want to know how to solve this problem and give me the detailed steps of how, that kind of thing. So it's, I'm trying to get more intentional around just describing what it is that I need. But I think that's a difficult step, and I'm still working on that. And I appreciate as well if someone was to communicate that to me.
Good.
Absolutely.
And I'm very poor at it. I said a lot of words just now about speaking it, receiving it, and all that. I found in myself that I've been very bad at being able to say what I want and to receive it. If someone's able to have the intuition to figure it out, but I can't even,
But there again is something you're also touching on, and that's the intentionality to be vulnerable, the intentionality to almost go against the current narrative of what masculinity looks like in its stoic strengths, as opposed to saying, actually, there's a point of need in which I want to express, which makes me look less than because I'm in I'm in a place of neediness. It made me think of another point, and that is, I think, Frank, you were mentioning a thing. This is when it perked up in my mind, Frank, and I know you and I have talked about this before, saying, oh man, I've been meaning to reach out. I've been meaning to, there is intention there that is mixed with guilt. So let's talk a little bit about the guilt from abandoned intentions, especially in the context of friendship, where we're like, I wanted to, but it never quite arrived at fruition. And here's the recurring feeling that maybe compounded as time extends until a point of uncomfortableness when you finally do get around to it and you're saying, you really were on my mind. I had meant to do this. How do we respond to this practically, like currently, and how ought we to be aiming to respond to this?
When I get into those kind of moments of like, oh yeah, I should really reach out to this person, or I want to reach out to this person, sometimes I find myself getting into a thought pattern where I start to justify the fact that I have not actually reached out to them. I'm like, well, it's been like, 4 or 5 months, but they haven't reached out to me. So, I'm fine. And then sometimes, I'm thinking about them, and then the next day they reach out and they're like, oh yeah, just thinking about you, saying hi, what's up, what's new? And I'm like, oh man, I should have just texted you when I thought of you yesterday, because now I look like the jerk in my own mind, having not reached out when I said that I should just do this. By the way,
Mm-hmm.
it's a good thing that we're recording on Skype.
Yeah.
Were you also wanting to record on the actual machine?
We'll begin now.
Hey! Is that?
Now it's been recorded.
Hey, there we go.
We are so good at the rookie move here. So for those of us joining the recording, we've just transpired about 25 minutes into our podcast here, talking about intention, and we'll see if we can loop in the other portion. But for the time being, we'll carry on because we have a recording there. So
Oh, never mind. There's a writing error on the.
we'll
the
sort
Zoom.
that out later.
Yeah.
Nonetheless.
Yeah. It's a good thing that we've got audio on the Skype.
So,
Yeah.
anyone else want to speak to the guilt piece, though?
It's very significant for me in more ways than one, in terms of knowing the guilt for me comes about how much I care and knowing and feeling or trying to gauge whether the level at which I care is too much and it needs to be. And that's a personal struggle for me, particularly with male friendships, not even female friendships.
Why do you think there's a difference?
My history,
Okay.
My successes and failures with male friendships and my personal history around that. So, yeah.
There's so many things in our lives that inform this guilt or even shame. It can go turn into relating to, well, what is it relating to? It relates to expectations, whether they're which rarely they are, which is an assumption that invite them, respond and go to this need to, etc. All of these things are on our own shoulders, usually because of our upbringings, the messages we heard, our own psychological dysfunction that say you should do this and you should do that and you shouldn't do that. And then we feel guilt. Is it right? Is it not? Well, I don't know. What the guilt is relating to depends on as a psychologist, I hear so many people saying, I just want people to reach out to me, invite me out to things, and they don't want to reach out. Why? Because they don't want to be rejected. They want to be the one that is free to say yes or no and reject the person. No, they're not rejecting the person, they're rejecting the invitation, but they equate it with the rejection of a person. So it's probably one of the biggest reasons, in my opinion. I don't know the numbers behind this, but to why dynamic in our Western society, because people are so anxious means to initiate or expectations of initiations of gatherings, not just gatherings, not just conversations, the topics within the conversation. Person about because I can't say because you might think da 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 da.
That people quite often don't when refraining from so